Rachelle Reid Radio.
Welcome to the show Reset. I am your host, Rachelle Reid. Today we'll be working on our kindness exercise. Many people have heard the term exercise restraint. However, not many people have heard the term exercise kindness. If you are able, get comfortable and prepare to reset your mind. Today we are going to start off this kindness exercise by thinking of someone you do not consider to be kind. It is important to start off with a light to medium difficulty. That means you shouldn't start off with the most difficult person you know. Even if it's someone you know personally, a stranger, organization, or politician you disagree with. If there was abuse, a long history of anger towards this individual, these situations can become more complex. Let's start off with a lighter level of emotional disruption. A lighter level would be from indifference to thoughtlessness. A medium range would be from intolerance to hostility. At the same time, the framework I'm about to teach you can be used for any situation. To illustrate, similar to any exercise, it is more productive to start off with something easy and work your way up to more difficult tasks. Let's start off with easy topics and work our way up. Indifference. Has anyone shown you indifference, or what you would consider a lack of respect? We will create an incident to practice with today. It could even be an event you've experienced. Imagine you have your hands full. You're walking up to a building. You can see someone approaching in front of you. To get to the door, you pick up your pace, hoping they hold the door open for you. Instead, they walk through the door and it closes behind them. You're left to juggle what's in your hands or set everything down to open the door again. Now you've let yourself be irritated. How irritating is that? When someone can't simply hold the door open for you, especially when they know your hands are full. Maybe you're in a wheelchair, have crutches, and you know they could have simply taken a moment. It would have meant so much more to me, and it would have been way easier for my life that I wouldn't have to struggle through these doors. We will start by breaking down the situation. First of all, you had an expectation of another individual to respond to the unspoken wishes in your mind. Not only is this unreasonable, it is the quickest way to destroy relationships. It's best not to have these expectations because that comes from a place within us where we would like to control others. This could come from a childhood where we were controlled too much or felt insecure from an out-of-control family member. Regardless, we choose at this moment not to have expectations of people. You can say this quietly to yourself. I choose not to have expectations of others. To further break down the situation, imagine if there wasn't another individual here. If you were by yourself, you'd have to figure out how to manage the situation by yourself. You would have done this successfully. Now take a moment to imagine the situation differently. Imagine you walked up to that door. You took a moment to rearrange what you were holding, and you were successful opening the door. Before, you had an intense emotion about being slighted by a stranger. Now, it is simply another day. You opened the doors many times over the course of your life. This time was no different. We can begin our kindness exercise. You might think you've done a lot of work already. When you begin a physical exercise, you normally start on a flat surface or a mat. Most people don't start working out on sharp objects, rocks, or in a dangerous environment. This is what we did. We cleaned up our emotional and mental environment to begin our work on a more level field. Now let's replay this moment in your mind where you felt someone treated you with indifference or was inconsiderate towards you. Imagine that person in your mind. Hold on to that negative feeling for a moment. While visualizing this person, imagine them shrinking. Not only are they swiftly reducing their physical stature, they are becoming younger and younger. Now this person is a toddler. As you watch this person in your mind, you're entertained by suddenly seeing their face so youthful, almost unrecognizable. They have the cutest face. Their walk is wobbly, and they can only make a few steps before plopping down on their bottom. Smile in your mind as you watch them play. Take a second and smile. It feels good to smile today. As you continue to watch them play in your mind, imagine the little one with toy blocks. They try stacking the blocks, but they fall over onto your feet as you're looking down on them. They begin to fuss, to cry. You are flooded with compassion as you swoop them up and cradle them in your arms. You're not upset over the blocks that fell. You understand the infant didn't have the motor skills nor the emotional development to have patience enough to complete that kind of task. Continue to imagine you are cradling this small child in your arms. Feel love and compassion wash over you. Let them wash away the irritations from previous encounters you had with this person. We want to hold on to this feeling. We now know we can have compassion for this individual. Now imagine them growing older. Maybe they are picked on. Maybe, like many people, have closed doors in this person's face. Maybe they were taught tough love. They were never offered help. Maybe they were told if they wanted to get ahead in life, they needed to do everything by themselves. Maybe they had been humiliated while struggling and crying. Can you see their parent or teacher with a cold stare in their eyes as that young child, that young individual struggled to the bitter end. Instead of being awarded for their accomplishments, maybe they receive beatings and insults in the end. They in turn were forced maybe to do this to others, the younger siblings or schoolmates. If they were to offer help in any way, they too could face beatings, humiliation, or discipline. It could be that this has been ingrained in them. Now fast forward, let them grow all the way up. Fast forward to the inconsiderate incident in which you were involved. You realize the situation had nothing to do with you. You don't take it personally. You realize this person has had different life experiences than you. Of course, we don't know this individual's life story, even if it's somebody you know personally. It may not have been hardship that the other person lived through. We can't assume that they've had a hard life. Maybe they've had a great life. Nevertheless, imagining such scenarios can help trigger compassion towards individuals. It could have been that they were in a serious time crunch. Maybe they honestly didn't see you. Some individuals are visually impaired or simply distracted. They could have come out of outpatient surgery and their doctor told them not to open any heavy doors because it could rip open fresh stitches. Who knows? We can imagine millions of scenarios of why this particular individual behaved in the way you did not expect. Of course, it wasn't in a way you'd expect because that person is not you. Thus, another person. I know that sounds silly, but we sometimes forget that we are unique. No individual is going to act or think like you because they aren't you. Sounds simple enough, yet so many people get hung up on this issue. Let's go through these emotions again. Do you have a scenario you'd like to work through? Think about that issue right now. Have it form in your mind how you felt. It's okay to hold on to a negative emotion for just a moment. This way it helps process out of your mind. Think on this emotion and say, regardless of how I'm feeling, this frustration, this hurt, I choose to love and accept myself anyway. Wow. Have you said that to yourself before? Despite this person hurting me, I'm going to love and accept this individual anyway. Can you think on this person or individual? Form them in your mind. Ask yourself, did you have expectations of this person? Even if it's a small expectation. You simply expected them to act like a human being, right? And they were rude. Maybe they simply lashed out at you from their own hurt or pain. Imagine this person again in your mind. Let them form. You see their hair color. You see their height, their width, what they were wearing. Were you inside? Were you outside? What smells were around you? Find yourself in this place now. Realize in this moment you're in a safe place. Right now, we're all here to help each other. No one in this moment will hurt you. Imagine this moment again in your head, the incident regarding this person. Now that you have them visualized in your mind, think about them shrinking, shrinking, shrinking. Now they're getting smaller, smaller, smaller. And as they get smaller, they're getting younger and younger and younger, till you reach that perfect age where they're super cute. Those big fluffy cheeks that you just want to squeeze. You don't mind all those little incidences anymore. They're just a little child throwing a tantrum. You're not upset over that little child throwing a tantrum. You understand they don't have any ability to process everything going on around them. You understand they need to have their needs met by you, and when they're not, they can be upset. That's why most kids throw tantrums. We're going to love our children even though they throw tantrums. We're going to show them these thought processes that we're learning today so they can learn to let go of negative emotions and to accept everything may not be the way they want it. Again, we're back to that small child. They're crying. What else can you do but scoop them up and cuddle them in your arms? Give them a big hug. Let them know the world is okay. Don't you want to know the world is all right? There's always something positive you can share with yourself, with your inner child, and with this individual person and their child that's inside of them. You're unique, you're special, you're worthy to be valued, you're worthy to be loved. Can you say this to the individual that you've had conflicts with? Say, they're worthy of acceptance, they're worthy of value, and they're worthy of love. Everybody is. Everybody can deserve love and compassion from all of us. The only thing that keeps us from loving one another is our own selfishness, our own hurt. We put up walls up so we're not hurt by anyone. With a lot of walls, as we know, they often hurt more than heal. Let's choose to take the walls down today. Brick by brick, thought by thought. Continue forward. You can continue to do thought processes in your mind, future thought experiments, something that might trigger your own thoughts. an example of changing your point of view on somebody. I heard a story about a child on a bus running up and down the aisle, screaming, hitting every seat as they ran back to the bus, to the front of the bus, to the back of the bus, to the front of the bus, screaming and hitting the seats. Now, this child was a bit older, around 8, 9, or 10. It wasn't a young child that you could contain in a seat or hold them down. They were big enough to run around, and the mom wasn't doing anything. She just sat there quietly, looking at the window. As the bus ride went on, more and more of the passengers were irritated. And finally, the lady in front of her turned around in her seat and said, "Look, lady, can't you do something with your child? It's just doing nothing but screaming and hitting the seats." The mother, ever so slowly, turned her gaze from outside the window. She still looked distant and in thought. She quietly said, "His father died." We just came from the hospital. We watched him pass away. He was my love. He was my everything. He was a good father to my son. My son is hurting and is crying, and I can't stop him from hurting because I'm hurting too. And if he wants to scream, and if he wants to cry, if hitting the seats helps relieve some of the emotion that he's feeling right now, I'm okay with it. Because right now, I can barely move. How does that make you feel? Do you suddenly change your mind about that boy running around hitting the seats? This is just a change of mind, a change of heart. The only thing that changed was the way you viewed it. The boy didn't change. The mother didn't change. The circumstances didn't change. The bus didn't change into some luxury vehicle. Nothing made the situation better. But you thought of that individual with compassion and love. And you thought to yourself about the times when you had to endure loss or death of a loved one. Suddenly, you have compassion and tolerance because you know during that time when you were hurting, you wanted compassion as well. Let's move forward right now in this moment. Take a few healing breaths to release all of this emotion that we have today. Let's take a deep breath in. 1, 2, 3. Hold it for 2. 1, 2. And back out. How nice is that? It's okay to smile as you breathe. This time when you breathe in, smile. Let all the goodness of the earth fill your lungs. Breathe out. You can let go of all that negative energy, all that tenseness in your shoulders. Do you feel better now? you feel better that you did self-care, took this moment to listen through and say, you know what? I can do this. I can have compassion for myself. I can have compassion for others. Yeah. Let's do a little smiling exercise. It makes me feel so good. All right, everyone. Let's breathe in. 2, 3. Hold it for 2. 1, 2. And breathe out. Wow. I feel so much better. Are you sitting up straighter? Are you rolling your shoulders back? Are you ready to start this day? The day's ready for you. The day may not be free of all incidences. You might have a trip or a fall. You might have to rub against somebody. Oh gosh, especially at work, sometimes we just have friction with one another. We all have different ideas, different things we want to bring to the table, and sometimes it's hard to communicate. That's okay. You're going to be patient today. You're going to take that moment to listen to their needs. You're going to be able to clearly communicate what you want, what your needs are. You're going to have a boldness today to say, I deserve to be loved. I deserve to be respected. Yeah, it's okay to speak up for yourself as well. Nevertheless, let's continue to have compassion for one another. Let's continue with these blessings for ourselves. How are you feeling about that other person? They're not so bad, are they? It was a situation that you can choose to let go. Or confront the person if you're able to. That's not always a privilege we get. Sometimes the people that irritate us might be someone on the news, or a politician, a corporation. You feel like they could be doing a better job, or running their business in a way that you would run it. How would we know? It's not our business, right? What our business is to keep our mind and our spirit healthy. We can teach this to our children. How many kids know how to download things off the computer? How to delete files? Goodness. Even the young children know how to download cartoons. Wow. They're so experienced in the world around them. Yet how many times do we teach them how to download happiness from the universe, how to release our expectations of others, how to choose kindness, how to act towards others with respect and love. May you be free from physical suffering. May you be free from emotional suffering. May you live today in freedom. May all living creatures on this earth know peace. Thank you for this time. I am your host, Rachelle Reid, and you are now reset.
Rachelle Reid Radio.